What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Zaynomics Gaming. Today I want to talk about a awesome legendary pulse rifle that is from Neomuna, and it is called the Phyllotactic Spiral. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a ARC legendary pulse rifle and is absolutely fantastic. It does come with enhanced traits when you actually craft it. Currently, it is my favorite pulse rifle in the game. It is a high impact frame archetype, so it's slow firing and high damage. This weapon is more accurate when you're stationary, moving slowly and aiming down sights. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about how you actually get this weapon. So this weapon comes from Neomuna, and you actually do get a red border of this weapon once you complete one of the missions inside of the Lightfall campaign. So if you do the Lightfall campaign on all three characters, you'll get 3 of the deep sight weapons. So then you'll only actually have to grind out to get the other 2, because you need 5 deep sight weapons to actually unlock the craftable version. And I know it is a little time consuming, but if you do complete the campaign 3 times, that guarantees you 3 drops. Now, once I actually unlocked this weapon, I did take it inside of PvP and also did some experimenting. Damage fall off when aiming down sights is around 37.5 meters, while if you're hip firing, it's around 22-ish meters or so is where you'll start experiencing damage fall off. Reload time is around 2.5 seconds, which is kind of dismal. I don't really like it, but since it's a high impact frame, it will have that slower reload. There is ways that you can actually compensate for that though. I think one of the biggest downfalls with this weapon is actually the mag size. It's only 28 rounds, and it can get a little hectic when you're actually in gunfights or dueling with this weapon, especially if you have the full auto accessibility feature already on. You can run out of rounds pretty quickly if you're not actually paying attention to what you're doing or what you're actually shooting at. So that brings me into the actual roles and the roles that I recommend, especially for PvP and for PvE. First, we'll talk about PvP though. As far as PvP goes, I like to spec for mostly range. So I'm going with hammer forged rifling. I don't want to go with full bore because it hurts my stability, and the stability on this gun is kind of low compared to the other high impact frames that we currently have inside the game. Next, for my mag perk is actually going to be ricochet rounds, because I get a bump of stability and a bump in range, and that's just the overall perk that I actually enjoy the most. We do have high caliber rounds, which will increase your range and knock back your enemies a little further, but I actually prefer consistency over damage or range. So I'm gonna go with ricochet rounds, just because you do get a little bump in range and you also get a big bump in stability. Now, one new perk in this game that I absolutely love is called Keep Away. And Keep Away states increase reload, range, and accuracy when no combatants are in close proximity. Now, this is a interesting trait because you could be like mid-range in a gunfight and you still have Keep Away procced. And I think it may get nerfed in the future, but I absolutely love it. It definitely plays into that laning and more passive aggressive approach when you're actually playing against people. And this is a popular trait amongst a lot of other Guardians as well, because it's ranked first in the column selection. So it's definitely no trait to actually look over. It is definitely amazing to have inside of PvP, and it basically states if no enemies are within 15 meters, you get a 10 range, 30 reload speed, and minus 10% accurate, and a minus 10% accuracy cone size. So it's definitely very beneficial, especially at 30 reload speed. You get an additional on top of that. The base weapon starts out with a 32 reload speed, so now you're at 62 reload speed, and that's if you're not compensating with other exotics or other different ways to actually reload the weapon. Plus 2, you get a 10 range on top of that. So it's definitely very beneficial, and I absolutely adore this perk. It brings out way more consistency. You don't have to worry about getting a kill. You always have it for the most part. Now, Keep Away will go away if you are within that 15-meter point, but you know, at that point, usually if you're using a high impact frame weapon, you're going to be dead anyways, because SMGs or sidearms are just going to absolutely melt you. This weapon definitely is designed for you to play at distance and play a little bit more passive, and that's one of the things that I enjoy about it. Now, the weapons In the match in the background, I'm actually using this pulse rifle for long distance, and then I'm using an Osteo Striga to clean enemies up if I happen to get in those close quarter engagements when I'm trying to actually get away, and you'll see that a lot in my background gameplay. But keep away is definitely a fantastic trait. I really wouldn't even go for anything else in this column. Keep away is the #1 trait in this column by far. And now for the enhanced keep away trait, it just states that you have a stronger effect. I really don't know what the additional effect is. I really don't notice too much of a difference when I'm actually using the enhanced trait, but it's nice to know that, you know, you could possibly, you know, up the ante a little bit, so to speak, and have a stronger effect to accuracy and reload and a little bit of extra range. So it's definitely a fantastic perk in itself, even without the enhanced trait version. Now in that second column for our perks that we have listed, I actually recommend Head Seeker for PvP. I know that could be a little bit controversial. We have a lot of great outstanding perks. We have Kill Clip, and Kill Clip does pair well with Keep Away because you get the additional reload speed. But I really like Head Seeker, and Head Seeker was actually reworked last season, and it states here, body shots landed with this weapon increase precision, damage, and aim assist for a short time. Body shots landed while the perk is active, refresh the time. So it gives you extra damage per crit, and it increases precision multiplier by 0.1175. So you'll get like, you'll go from 33 or so a crit to 35 to 38. It really just depends on how many body shots you land before you actually hit that final headshot. So it does make the weapon a little bit more consistent. Kill Clip is also a fantastic perk, but you have to actually reload it to grant the benefits from it, and then Kill Clip only lasts for about 5 seconds. Now Kill Clip is also a great perk, and it also states, upon finishing a reload within 3.8 seconds of a weapon kill, you get 25% increased damage for 5 seconds. Buff can be refreshed through additional reloads persist through stow. So if you stow the weapon, you'll lose Kill Clip, and pretty much everybody knows that. Kill Clip is a great perk. It does give you that extra damage, but like I said, with consistency, I like Head Seeker. It got reworked, and it does feel absolutely phenomenal. And then those are pretty much the only 2 perks I actually recommend for PvP. So if you're gonna craft this weapon for PvP, I recommend Head Seeker first. That is my outstanding #1 trait. I know Kill Clip can put out damage and really knock some heads off, but I like consistency overall. Now you can also go with Elemental Capacitor, and that pretty much buffs you depending on what subclass you're using. So if you're using a solar subclass, you'll get an increase in reload. If you're using arc, you'll get an increase in handling. If you use void, you'll get an increase in stability. Stasis will control recoil and increase movement speed. And strand only gives you a 20 to airborne effectiveness, so I definitely don't recommend you running strand if you are going to use elemental capacitor. Elemental capacitor is really dominant with if you're using the arc based subclass, in my opinion, because the arc subclass gives you 50 handling. Now if you're going to go with elemental capacitor, I don't recommend using strand because you only get 20 airborne effectiveness. That's really not worth it to me. Arc is the king, so if you are going to rock elemental capacitor, I would definitely use the arc subclass because you get the 50 handling, and that makes any high impact frame feel absolutely phenomenal. It makes any slow sluggish weapon, it makes it very snappy and very easy to use. So I would definitely recommend elemental capacitor with the arc subclass. I really don't recommend the other subclasses, but that's just a third and final option. Head Seeker is still my main choice, and then Kill Clip. So to break down my PvP role, you're going to look at Hammer Forge Rifling, Ricochet Rounds, Keep Away, and then you're going to look at Head Seeker. And for a Masterwork, I'm going with Stability Masterwork just so I can reduce the flinch. Now I really didn't want to make this video too long, so for PvE, a lot of it's pretty much going to stay the same. For my barrel perk, I'm going to stick with Hammer Forge Rifling. For my mag perk, I'm actually going to go with Extended Mag, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Now for my third trait column, I'm actually going to be going for Under Over, and that gives you a passively increase to damage dealt to overshields and combatant shields. So you basically get a 10% increase to combatant shields in PvE, and you get a 20% increase against overshields against other players in PvP. So I mean, Keep Away is a good perk, but I don't really find it beneficial. I rather have that 10% increase to combatant shields. Now for my final perk in the 4th column, I am going with Volt Shot. It is one of the best perks in the game right now, and Volt Shot basically states reloading this weapon after defeating a target overcharges this weapon for a short period of time, causing it to jolt on its next hit. Upon finishing a reload, you have 3.8 seconds of a kill, and then the next weapon hit within 7 seconds applies Jolt. That is the main configuration of this actual perk, and it does give you that debuff, which is very nice to have. It can clear a room full of ads, and it pairs very well with pretty much any subclass in the game currently. Damage from Jolt inherits the weapon's combatant damage scaling, but is only applied to the Jolt target. And if you get the enhanced version of this trait, it will buff it by 1 second. Now, one thing I forgot to mention with this weapon is the origin trait, which is nanotech tracer rockets. And unfortunately, though it sounds great in theory, it just doesn't work as well. You really don't get too many tracer rockets off while you're firing this weapon. It is not like Quicksilver Storm. Quicksilver Storm shoots rockets multiple times throughout the mag size, whereas with these other legendary weapons, you actually have to use roughly half of your magazine just to get one rocket off. Now it does deal 22 damage inside of PvP, and then another 24 worth of explosive damage, but it's really not anything to actually write home about. It is cool to have, especially inside of PvE. I will say the large machine gun, the LMG that we have from Neomuna, is a lot better with this, just because the mag size is so much bigger. You're able to get more rockets off with each mag size compared to this weapon. It only has 28 rounds, so you're only getting 1 to 2 rounds or 1 to 2 rockets off with each magazine. Now that's going to do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's a free way to support me, and I greatly appreciate it. I will have some more videos coming out this week. I know a lot of eyes are on the day 1 raid tomorrow. Unfortunately for me, I'm still grinding, so I more than likely will not be competing in that, but I will have some new videos out. We got a lot of stuff that I want to cover. We're going to do a bow video showcasing the most popular bows in D2. We're going to do a lot of damage testing, what's better, what's worse. And I also got a lot of other weapon reviews to go over, all the Neomuna weapon reviews, build guides, all kind of stuff. So stay tuned for all of that. And like I said, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It is a free way to support me, and I greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.